Hello, so we're going to do something a little bit different for this Marvel video because we did a little extra work, a little extra credit work this week. So if you're following along, you know that the next film on the list in the MCU is Spider-Man Homecoming. So obviously, I had already seen this Spider-Man movie. This is one on the list that I had seen. So I thought I would do a little extra work and I watched at least one of the movies of every Spider-Man so far. So I wanted I don't know, I just wanted to see how each person embodied Peter Parker and see it close to each other so I can kind of compare them. And also, I just wanted an excuse to watch Into the Spider-Verse again because it's just such a good movie. So let's get into it. I'm just going to do a flip through of the previous Spider-Man pages, and then you will see a little bit of me working on the Homecoming spread as usual. So we start here with Tobey Maguire. I watched numbers 1 and 2 again. I have not seen 3 in a really long time. I'll revisit it someday, but it's just not time yet. You know what I mean? But I'm sure you know what I mean. But anyway, revisiting the first Spider-Man, Sam Raimi Spider-Man film from 2002 was so fun, and I honestly feel like that is one of my favorite superhero movies. I feel like a lot of people who were kids at that time would agree. I think Tobey does a really good job. I know that, some of his acting might be, I don't know, a little dated or something, and some of the effects are obviously a little dated, but he just, when you say Spider-Man or Peter Parker to me, I still think of Tobey Maguire first. Although, of course, I'll get into Tom Holland and everything. So it was really fun to revisit those two films. Spider-Man 1, the first one, is definitely like a comfort film for me. Like, that's a movie that I could watch a bajillion times. And then the second one, I didn't like it as much as I did when I was younger, but it still is just really good. And it was a lot more complex than I remembered. So that was really fun to revisit. I did watch The Amazing Spider-Man, only the first one. I had never seen it. I just wanted to be able to say that I saw it. I wanted to be able to make this page. I'm a completionist, so I wanted to be able to speak on it. It's a movie. I don't know what else to say. Okay, here's the deal. Okay, here's the thing. It wasn't for me. I could see really enjoying it. It wasn't for me. Andrew Garfield is an incredible performer. I have seen Social Network 375,000 bajillion times. He obviously is so incredibly talented, and I don't even think that he was like a bad Peter Parker. I just didn't connect with it. Martin Sheen is the best. Let's just move on. So, like I said, Into the Spider-Verse, literally, like when I know that they're not technically Marvel because of Sony and the blah, 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 the whole thing. But like when I started this, one of the things I was thinking was, when I get to Spider-Man, I'm going to watch all the Spider-Man movies so I can make art about Into the Spider-Verse. So I tried to recreate the fall. I love the leap of faith line. This is not New York, these buildings, but I just thought it was like a cool, like the colors were really cool. And obviously that moment in the movie is so incredible. This whole movie, I remember seeing it in the theater so vividly. It blew me away. I had no idea what to expect when I saw it, and I just really couldn't believe it. I ended up seeing it twice in the theater, and I do think it definitely works better, upon the rewatch. It works better on the big screen. But at the same time, it's just so good. It's so fun to revisit. I love all the characters. I cry with Uncle Aaron every single time. I love Miles so much. I love all the references to the comics and everything. And that's something that, as you know, if you've watched these videos, I don't know a ton about that. I'll link a breakdown video of Into the Spider-Verse from New Rockstars where they point out a bunch of the Easter eggs and stuff, which is so fun. If you haven't watched it in a while, just watch it again. It's so good. And how good is the music too? it's just it's just a really good movie. Okay. Yeah, it's just great. So this is the art I made, and I did a little page for it with Gwen, Peter B. Parker, and Miles. I obviously also love Spider-Man Noir so much. There's a part where, what does he say? He's like, do you ever struggle with the moral ambiguity of your violent action? And that part makes me laugh every time, like so hard. Such a good movie. So anyway, we're moving on to Spider-Man Homecoming. I have a lot of thoughts. We're going to switch to voiceover. And yeah, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the voiceover. So now we are talking about Spider-Man Homecoming. And that was the next movie on the list. As I said, it is one of the movies on the list of Marvel Cinematic Universe films that I had seen previously when it came out in theaters. Because I've always been a Spider-Man fan, I knew that I wanted to see it. So even though I hadn't seen a lot of the Marvel films up to that point, I definitely there was no way I wasn't going to see Spider-Man. So I will say, like right away out of the gate, now that I have seen Civil War, it felt different seeing this movie. I honestly, before I saw Civil War, which I talked about in a recent video, I didn't like totally understand that he was introduced in that film. I don't know. I guess maybe I kind of knew because I saw Homecoming and I knew that, you know, obviously they reference it, but yeah, just, I mean, it's just another of, how many times have I said this? Another like example of the full context just really making such a big difference for me. Yeah, so that was really cool. And like, I'm so excited because I have seen Far From Home as well. And I remember like definitely not getting a lot of it and missing out on a lot of it because I hadn't seen Endgame and all those films leading up to it. So I'm really excited to get to that point again. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. This movie is really fun. I think the thing that sets it apart that I've been thinking about a lot during this rewatch of all of these Spider-Man films is the fact that we don't see Tom Holland's like getting bit by the spider, becoming Spider-Man, who he was before Spider-Man, and then who he is now. We don't really see that, but I think that that's kind of cool. Like if they had done that again, it would have been fine, but I think it makes it stand out so much and makes it so unique that we don't see that. I think the way that they throw us right into like post-Civil War, and Peter's like so excited to be like, well, I got to be an Avenger now, right? Like they're going to call me so we can go and do the stuff and save the people. And then it just like doesn't happen. I loved that. I loved that whole thing of like, you do this crazy, insane thing and you're fighting Captain America and Ant-Man's the size of a building. And then you just have to like go back to school. Like that's so funny. And like, it just really, really works. Yeah. And okay, so let's talk about Tom Holland. I just really, really like him. I've seen a lot of interviews with him, like Graham Norton and stuff like that. And he just seems like such a gentle, kind soul. And like, I think that his take on Peter Parker is, I know I read while I was doing all this stuff that Stan Lee said that Tom Holland is like how he always pictured Peter to be, I guess because he's like a little younger and I think physically they're really similar. And I just totally agree with that. But I also feel like the spirit of Peter really matches up with Tom. I think Tom brings a lot of himself to it. And I just love that so much. I think he does a really great job. I think he's really easy to connect with. And I think I talk about that a lot, like my connection with characters. Because in Marvel, it's not always easy for me to feel connected to the characters. But so when I do, I like totally point it out. And I totally connect with Tom Holland's Peter Parker. The scene. Okay, so wait, let's talk about Michael Keaton. Obviously, Michael Keaton is just the shit. He's just so good. And in this movie, I think he was like the perfect person to play Vulture. He does such a good job. That scene where he's dropping Peter off with his daughter at the homecoming dance, and he like realizes that Peter is Spider-Man and like is looking at him in the rearview mirror, and then they have that talk in the car. That is so good. Like, I could just rewatch that scene. It's so intense. And then Peter just realizing, like, as he walks into the dance, like, I have to go, and like having to tell her that he has to go again. Ugh. And it's like that, it's the same thing I feel like that Tobey's Peter Parker struggles with in the second Spider-Man, Sam Raimi Spider-Man, that what you sacrifice by taking on this role of Spider-Man, and how it's like, it's worth it, but you have to kind of decide that it's worth it for yourself, you know? So that's just really, really powerful. What are some other good moments? I love all of the students. I know we see a lot more of them in Far From Home, so I'm excited to get to that point again. I think Tony Revolori is like the coolest. Ned is so great. Zendaya obviously is just awesome in everything that she's in. I'm so glad she's in these movies, and I know again that we get more of her in Far From Home, so I'm excited to get to that. I loved Hannibal Buress is just perfect in this movie, and the Captain America bits also were so fun. The Stan cameo in this movie was really fun. I loved a lot of the New Yorker moments in this movie were great, like having a bodega that you go to, and like the getting angry at the noise, and the guys yelling at him from the street telling him to do a flip. that whole thing is just so good. And also I just want to touch on the moment where Peter has to like break himself out of the wreckage, you know, after Tony tells him you can't, until you can do it without the suit, you're not meant to wear it, you know, that whole thing. And then when he has to like motivate himself and know that he can do it, and find the strength and find that strength, that hit me like so hard this time around. I don't know why. I felt so emotional watching that. Like, even talking about it, I'm like, wow, that was like really powerful. It was just so beautifully done. And I just really, really felt that moment, and I loved it. What else about this movie? I think Marissa Tomei's Aunt May is probably one of my favorites. I just like that take on her a lot. I wish that we had a little more of her, but it's just, there's just too much to do. I feel like the whole sequence on the Staten Island ferry was incredible. I don't really understand how they did that with special effects. I want to watch it again. I love this suit that talks to Peter, you know, and all that. The element of like being taken off the training wheels program, everything with Happy. It's just really fun. I really enjoy this incarnation of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And I don't know if he's in Infinity War. Nobody tell me, because I don't want to know, because I don't know. I don't know anything about Infinity War, so don't tell me anything. And I guess he's in Endgame, but like, don't tell me that either, because I don't know anything about it, and I'm like excited to get to that point. So so we're flipping through now the final pages, and I added those webs like on almost every page. I just think it looks really cool. And this is the art that I made for Peter. I just used like a constellation circle I found, and then I was trying to find a more powerful quote, but I just kept coming back to, hey, you're that spider guy. And I thought that was like, that's just really good. So that's the pages for my Spider Palooza. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next week for Ragnarok. Bye.